Special counsel and its investigation into Russian election interference, the U.S. Department of Justice just declassified a FISA application to wiretap President Trump's former campaign aide, Carter Page. It shows that the FBI's request was based on various sources, not just the now infamous Steele dossier. And Mr. Trump tweeted, in part, "It was indeed the unverified and fake dirty dossier that was paid for by crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC that was knowingly and falsely submitted to FISA and which was responsible for starting the totally conflicted and discredited Mueller witch hunt." Let's bring in Kenneth Vecchio, a political and legal strategist, and Bishop Garrison joins us from our Washington, D.C. bureau. He's a national security policy consultant. Ken, the president's just flat out wrong on that. I mean, the Russia investigation began when George Papadopoulos told Australian officials back in, I think, July of 2016 that he was told that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton. The stuff with Carter Page, there was no FISA application until months after that.
Yeah, but Andrew McCabe himself, first of all, said that had there not been the Steele dossier, there would have been no FISA warrant sought. I know what you're saying is that this wasn't the basis for the Russian investigation, but you could talk to lots of people around Washington in both law enforcement and in the political worlds, and they're going to tell you that the real basis truly was this Carter Page FISA application, which we definitively know was rooted in no probable cause and was an illegal warrant that was had.
But it got resubmitted and reconfirmed 3 times.
So there's 3 strikes and you're out on this. Number one, the entire basis behind getting this FISA warrant to surveil Carter Page was the Steele dossier. And the Steele dossier was presented to the FISA court in being rooted in 2 sources, the dossier itself and a Yahoo News report. We've learned that the Yahoo News report was bogus because it came directly from Steele itself, so it was one source. Second strike is that they didn't disclose that Steele himself was funded by the DNC, the Hillary Clinton campaign, and the FBI themselves paid him.
Bishop, I see you shaking your head. Jump in.
First of all, thank you for having me. And I just want to say up front that I am very supportive and happy of the efforts of both the FBI and the intel community on this. I know that both entities have received some disrespect here from political sides as of late, but I want to reemphasize how important their job is in keeping us safe and protecting us. Ultimately, what you have here is a FISA warrant, a warrant that takes evidence, has to be collected over a course of months, if not years, in order to make a proper case for it. As you've already mentioned, David, the information that came forth from this wasn't brought forth to get that warrant until October of 2016. All of this was based off of Carter Page's contacts with a foreign government, with Russia itself. By his own accord, he said that he was an informal advisor to the Kremlin. So
Bishop, come on. I mean, Bishop, please.
It was coming from with this.
If this wasn't involving Donald Trump and something that was injurious to him, you'd be the first person that would be jumping up and down, saying how this infringed upon people's constitutional rights.
Kenneth,
isn't it this quiet? Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
I put my country above party. I personally put my country above my party.
Maybe you do, but I don't think you understand the law here.
Direct foreign contacts.
Well, here's the thing. Let me stop you both. Let me stop you both, because here's the thing, Bishop, that I don't understand, and that is, okay, they got the FISA warrant, but he hasn't been charged with anything, right? So wouldn't that suggest that there wasn't anything there? I mean, if they had something there, if they collected some intelligence that he was, in fact, a Russian agent, wouldn't he be charged by now?
It's disquieting.
Not necessarily. I mean, they have to do what we want them to do is have a thorough investigation, and that's what they're doing. Listen, they warned Mr. Page back in 2013 that he may have unknowingly had contacts with what they believe to be clandestine individuals from Russia. And he continued. Please, let me finish my Kenneth. Let me finish my point. He continued to maintain those contacts. The basis of maintaining those contacts are what have provided the FBI enough information over the course of years in order to build this case and get warrants through judges, 4 of which were appointed by Republican presidents.
Okay.
This is not a partisan issue.
For the Democrats, I'm going to refer to you as the bishop, cardinal, and pope here in coming out with a bunch of dialogue that is completely baseless in law. It is disquieting about how easy it is to decimate somebody's rights to privacy and their Fourth Amendment rights, and it's alarming how easily law enforcement has been able to do so to get a wiretap against this guy.
With the foreign government, with clandestine activity, absolutely.
That was based almost exclusively on an invalid warrant that came out of the Steele dossier makes this unlawful because it was had without probable cause.
4 judges supported. That was reinstated on 3 different occasions, each taking 90 days.
Let's assume for the sake of argument, Ken, let's suppose that this was tainted. Let's suppose it was unfair. That doesn't taint the entire Russia investigation.
I'm first and foremost concerned about the violations that come out of a court where you need about a morsel of evidence in order to get a warrant. It's like literally 99% chance that if the FBI or DOJ goes in seeking a FISA warrant, they get it. I know we're talking about the political issue here about that the Steele dossier and the FISA warrant may not have been the singular basis behind the Russian investigation. But as far as I can see it, there's nothing that's come out that discredits that argument. I think that the investigation was largely dictated by that. I can see some of the arguments to the outside of that, but they're not valid to me.
Let me ask you both about politics, because and this is totally separate.
Hey, David, can I just say one thing? Yeah. One thing. The reason 99% of those warrants are actually upheld and go through is because the law enforcement agents have to be so thorough in the collection of evidence and have to have such a sound case with individuals that have contacts with clandestine activity.
I'm not so sure about that. But here's my question. Here's my question on the politics. Isn't Donald Trump winning, Bishop, simply because it's a lot simpler and easier for the American people to understand this investigation is tainted because of something they may not be able to follow than it is for Democrats to say, oh, no, everything was fine, the FISA court acted appropriately, purely in terms of politics?
In terms of, this is not about politics. We had an individual that had ties to clandestine activity with a foreign entity. The government approached him about it. He continued to maintain those ties, and they had eventually had enough evidence to go through and get a FISA warrant.
Give me a second to finish up with this.
I'll give Kenneth again an opportunity to finish off here.
That was brilliant, David. I mean, to say that the American people are duped into believing that this investigation was based off of something they didn't understand, that is brilliant. But I don't think they were duped into it. I think that really is the basis behind the Russian investigation, and the Russian investigation needs to come to a complete halt, just like Bishop's argument.
I think we can all agree on that. Robert Mueller, if you're listening, wrap it up, present the evidence, and let it speak for itself. Kenneth Vecchio and Bishop Garrison, thank you both for coming in. Always a pleasure having you both. Just ahead, another black eye for USA Swimming's bad boy. Ryan Lochte just got suspended again.